Wow. My microphone went out and I didn't even know that. So this whole first part of the broadcast is no microphone, and I apologize. So let me start over. 4 minutes late now. I apologize for that. This is our Wednesday Speed to Profit Marketing Hangout. I'm launching all my Hangouts now from my Google Kellen Flukiger International page, and consequently I didn't get the application, the control application to put my lower third installed. And so I don't have one today, but it would tell you speedtoprofitmarketing.com if you want to find out more. You know, marketing's changing. Traditional interruption marketing, newspaper ads, billboards, television ads that sort of put something in front of people is certainly changed in its effectiveness. Excuse me, changed in its effectiveness because we have the ability to ignore ads, fast forward them, block ads on online, and all kinds of things like that. That feature means that all of the effectiveness of those have gone down. Even YouTube in-stream ads, 5 seconds, we can skip those. And so there's 2 points to that. One, they have to be focused, intense, and right on the money in the first place. And second, because we now have the ability to target advertising, we have to get right in front of people and get them exactly what they need when they're looking for it. So Speed to Profit Marketing is all about helping businesses and individuals with a message get the right message in front of the right people at the right time, to give you the opportunity to take your business to number one, positioning online. I'm not particularly talking about Google, although that's a little piece of it, but it's the number one positioning so that when people think of service in your niche, they think of you. And that's the key piece to making this happen. All right, so I'm going to go back to my 3 points that we have today. Number one is, how do you make a list and why do you need one? We've all heard the money's in the list, and is list building changing? What does that mean for your business and so forth? So let's just talk about those 3 things. If you want to know more, www.speedtoprofitmarketing.com would be a great place to go take a look. So list building is changing. What is a list? Well, a list is it's diversified. A list used to simply be a number of people whose emails you had who had given you permission to send them stuff. So in the traditional, I said typical and traditional at the same time, in the traditional opt-in sequence, people would somehow land on your opt-in page. That might be the first page of your website. That might be a special opt-in page. It might be a product launch first page. You usually offered them some kind of free lead magnet, free report, free video, free teaching tool, you know, something that was free that was a part of your service or product that would be very intrinsically valuable, something people want, and in exchange for that item, people would give you an email. And then it used to always be double opt-in, and now some are and some aren't. But the purpose of that was to create the permission between you as a business and your customer to exchange information. So basically it's saying, may I please have your permission to send you more information? And by opting in, the customer was saying yes. And the list of people's names and emails collected that way is the traditional definition of a list. It is now expanded somewhat by including all of your social media followers, particularly the active ones. You can have a massive list of friends on Facebook, and of your 5,000 friends, 200 may be active, and so from a list perspective, you would really only think about the 200 that regularly look at, comment, and interact with your material, because they are the ones that would likely react to something that you would put up there anyway. And so thinking of your list as being 5,000 in that case would be wrong. But the traditional definition is still those people whose emails you have. Now, there are lots of tools out there to scrape Facebook emails and do all of that sort of work with both LinkedIn and Facebook and so forth. And this 30 minutes is not designed to talk about scraping strategies or other tools that are designed to do that. There are a number of ways that are not, scraping, but you can do list building strategies and email strategies on some of the social media. When you belong to groups on LinkedIn, for example, you can email people that you're in the same group with. So there's lots of those out there also, but we're not going to talk about so many list building strategies as talk about the process of list building and why that's still a critical thing to do, because at the end of the day, as a business, you need to get the awareness of what you do in the minds of those who need it, right? I mean, ultimately, that's what marketing is. That's what old-style marketing on billboards used to be. It just used to be that 10,000 people drove by a billboard and maybe 5 needed that particular service. So it was very inefficient use of space and time. Today, with the targeting availability of graph search on Facebook and the increasing ability of YouTube to target things, it's not like Facebook yet, but you can get very narrow in your targeting. That means 2 things. You're actually getting in front of more people that matter to you, and you're spending a lot less advertising money as per-click costs go way up. So, number one, how do you make a list and why do you need one? So the first piece in making a list is you have, and I'm assuming, this is not about all product creation and avatar selection, I'm assuming you know exactly who you serve, that you've listened to our other Hangouts and you have a precise avatar, they have a name, you know everything about them. Okay, I'm assuming you already have complete and profound clarity on exactly what you do and how your product or service precisely creates a benefit map over the top of the needs of your ideal customer. If those aren't done, then creating a list is a bit of a shot in the dark. So I'm going to assume that you've gone through the earlier courses or the Hangouts that we've got, and you're in my group coaching or you're in someone's group coaching and you know how to do all of that and you've got it done. So the next thing to do is target those people. So with graph search on Facebook, it's relatively easy to target very narrow groups of people. You can target geographically, you can target by interest, you can target by others. I have a friend right now who owns a gym. He targets people who like, on their Facebook page, other gyms in his town because he knows several things about those people. If they've liked the gym, there's a good chance they have a membership there, or they have some relationship to that gym. So his ads target other people that go to like gyms in town, but not his. So in the Facebook targeting, you can do that. So for example, if you have a hair salon, you can target people that like other hair salons in your city. If you do a particular kind of information, I'm not even going to say information marketing anymore because marketing information is pointless. Information's free. What people pay for is shortcuts, hand-holding, and accountability. We don't really pay much for information unless it's accompanied by shortcuts, hand-holding, and accountability, because information, for the most part, is mostly free. You can find out almost anything any guru wants to teach you if you want to spend a long time assembling it. So that's what I tell people in my Speed to Profit marketing, both my group coaching and my private coaching programs, is if you wanted to spend the years that I have and you wanted to spend the hundreds of thousands and perhaps even $1.5 million, roughly, as if I've done my math well, in creating the kind of products and information that I have, you could do it. Or you could let me help you and you could save all that money in a lot of time. So that's part of the shortcut and hand-holding piece to do that. And if your information products aren't accompanied by that, the statistics show those are doing worse and worse. People are returning them in higher numbers and so forth, and information is basically free. So the reason you need a list, why you need one, is you need to have a group of people who are interested in what you do. And the reason you do is so you have both a test case to test your products and services, you have people to talk to that are familiar with what you do and can give you feedback, and you have an audience that will be receptive to what you provide. So it needs to be clear to you that on social media and mostly email is still the primary powerhouse in list marketing. So email is first. There are different ways to collect it now, and not just through an opt-in, traditional opt-in page. You can do it through Facebook and other means with apps like 22 Social and things like that. So we should by now be really clear that having a list is important because you have two important reasons. I'm going to repeat them. Number one, you have a test group. You have a group to ask opinions of about tweaks and changes in your product or service. You have a group to which you can say, I'm thinking about doing this. How would that resonate with you guys? Do you want that? Or you can even do things like questionnaires, which say, what are the top 10 concerns you have in your area? Now, if you train dogs, what are your top 10 concerns about dog? Well, my dog won't quit peeing in the house, or it won't quit barking, and whatever it is, right? And so the top 10 things can come in, and you can say, well, it looks like I need to create a product around this. And if you are a dog training person, then you have gold in your hands because you have a group of people interested in dog training who've told you what their top 10 things are. Now, again, I'm assuming some things, that you have the chops and the willingness to go through the work, put together a good product that meets these needs. That's another entire conversation, but let's assume that away too. All right, so number 2 we're going to start talking about here for a minute. Before I do that, I'm going to take a look really quickly through the comment stream. And yeah. Okay, we got some funny comments going on. We won't read all those. You can do them. Okay, let's see. Again, I apologize for having the mic off. I've got some comments in here that tell me my microphone's off. It is. It was. Very bad. All right, we don't have any questions. Thank you for the comments that are in there, though. Shortcuts, accountability, and hand-holding, someone put in there, and that's true. All right, so thank you for everyone that's watching on YouTube and throwing comments in the comment stream. If you've got questions, I'll periodically go back there. I don't have a comment wrangler today, so I'm going to do run double duty. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to start a series. So this is a break from the list thing for a second. I'm going to start a 4-part series on storytelling. Because one of the most powerful things to attract people to you is your personal story. The things that there are about you that make you unique, different, and powerful. So in the next few weeks, we're going to start a 4-part series on storytelling and teach you how to tell stories and why they matter. All right, let's go back to the list building. We've covered number 1, which is why you need a list. Let me talk briefly before I move on to the money's in the list. About making a list. Okay, so we talked about the traditional method where you have an opt-in page and people find it some way. So that's a nebulous statement. Let's talk about how people can find it. A few years ago, really the only game in town was AdWords, Google AdWords, where you would run an ad campaign for a particular set of keywords. When people did Google searches around those keywords, you would show up on one page or another in Google, and you spent a lot of time, effort, and money to create AdWord strings, some called long tail or short tail keywords, that would put you near the top of the search. And capturing the number 1 spot on Google was coveted beyond all things, because research shows that people don't get much past page 1, perhaps page 2, and if you weren't on those 2 pages, you might as well not be there. So there was a lot of work that went into that. There's been a lot of updates to the Google search algorithm and all of those ways that have made it more difficult and easier at the same time. More difficult for those that engaged in backlink and other black hat strategies, and more better for the searcher, better for us as customers, because Google's doing a better job at serving us what we wanted anyway. Which to me is like, okay, finally it's actually doing what I always thought it ought to do anyway, and I'm sure that as a customer you probably feel that way too. As a business, it probably feels different, but as a customer, that's certainly what we wanted. So how do you make a list? How do you get your ads in front of, or the information about what problem you solve in front of customers? Well, there's 2 parts to this. One is the actual tactics to get your message in front of them, and the other is what do you say when you've got something in front of them. So we'll talk briefly about tactics. There's still AdWords. That's still a very viable thing, although per-click costs are quite high. There are ads on Facebook where you can target very narrowly for your ads to show up either in the middle column, in-stream ads, or in the right column. Very quickly, many people have developed banner blindness, and I don't look much at the right-hand column ads at all, unless someone has dropped a pixel on me because I visited a website and I see products that I had searched for elsewhere, and then I know, okay, they dropped a pixel and they're doing good marketing. A retargeting pixel is something you insert in a user's computer when they come to your website, and that means that ads from your website will follow them around. I'm sure you've all experienced that, where ads from Amazon, you looked at a camera and it's following you around. And the answer is yes, it is. So first of all, getting in front of people means understanding exactly who your avatar is, which I said, that I've soon just done, and then using that information to target your ads precisely. So using Facebook graph ad targeting, so you're using precisely the characteristics that you've determined are your ideal avatar, and then running one of the kinds of ads. Another thing that you can do, Facebook used to allow you to promote personal posts. That's gone. You can now boost posts from your business page. There was a time when you could do both. Now, for the most part, the promote from personal page is gone because Facebook is changing the way they do business. They just released an update about a week ago where they're being a little bit more strict on the language that you can use in your ads. Outrageous claims, high power selling for biz ops, those will all be disapproved. So you're going to have to figure out a way, and this gets into part 2, to use the kind of language that doesn't drive people away, that's not offensive, that isn't putting them off, because Facebook is catering to the needs of the watcher, not the need of the business. So understand that. They're catering to the complaints and needs of the user, not the business. Now that might seem backwards to you since they get their revenue from business advertising, but that's what they're doing, and we can either complain about it or we can figure out how to work with it. Your call. So there are AdWords, there are Facebook ads, there's all kinds of offline marketing that is also proving to be have a resurgence, like direct mail, limited zip codes. If you have a product for a particular demographic, gated communities might be more receptive to certain, products than, apartment, an area where there are a lot of apartments and so forth. So it just depends on what your product or service is, how you actually create a targeted blast that gets in front of the right people. And I hesitate even to use the word blast, because if you use very narrow targeting, it isn't really a blast. It's sort of a puff because you're getting in a few people. One of the things I need to mention is YouTube is now picking up a great deal of steam with its in-stream advertising. So another way to get people to your opt-in page is YouTube in-stream advertising. If you're not using that, you're missing a huge opportunity right now, because there are some rules in place with in-stream advertising that are very generous in terms of the way they charge you. And so you need to explore that. The costs per click on YouTube are much lower than Facebook or Google, and so it's about like AdWords was 8 or 10 years ago. So it's a good place to look, and if you're not using in-stream ads, you're missing a really good opportunity that exists right now. So that's part 1. Let's talk briefly about part 2. We don't like to be sold to. You don't, I don't. So when someone comes up and feels pushy, like the only thing they want to do is take my money, we quit listening. You do, and I do, and we all do. So what do we say? Well, we are very interested when people want to hear about us. So language that is, people talk about entering the conversation that's going on in your customer's mind. So if I have a problem with gophers, which I had 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm going to look for something very directly that says, get rid of gophers. I'm not going to look anything about pretty yards or yard maintenance or any of those kinds of words. I'm going to look for, how the heck do I get rid of these friggin' gophers? That's going to be my search term, plus or minus however many expletives somebody feels like using, I guess, depending on how long they've been fighting them. Taking the time to research exactly how people are talking about their product or service is really important. So if you, for example, are marketing health supplements, and you know that your health supplement adds to people's health, and one of the things that it does is perhaps alleviate headaches, you're going to have to make sure that one of the keywords you optimize for is, how do I get rid of these headaches? Because as a user, that's what you're putting in. You're not typing in, how do I improve my overall health? That's not the language. And so targeting, again, specific words that a customer is using when they are in pain, either from the actual headache or from the pain that whatever their need is causing, is what you need to target. And how you need to use the sophisticated search tools that are there. All right, so let's move on to number 2. The money is in the list. That saying comes from saying if you don't have a list, you're basically doing shotgun marketing. When you have a list of people that have opted in to your product or service, or opted into you, is really more what it's like. Something about you has attracted them in relation to what you do. The money is in the list simply means that's a warm group of leads. Okay, when you're marketing to a warm group of leads, your conversion rate is way higher. The number of products that they tend to buy is quite a bit higher. You get repeat customers more and more often. And again, I'm assuming away customer service and assuming away all that stuff, because we're just talking about the list today. So if you take care of your list, you have good customer service, you can create incentives, have contests for people on your list, for people that add the most to your list. I had a contest a while ago for someone that would get the most number of people to attend a hangout for me, and I awarded a t-shirt for that, and that was fun. So, you know, those kinds of things are easy to do. They're not complicated, and there are lots of strategies to engage your list, to keep providing them with good content. And so the concept of the money is in the list means that your conversion rate is higher. It means that they're more likely to be repeat customers, and they're more likely to make additional purchases. In every good sales book, when times are tough, every good sales course will tell you to go back and look up all your old contacts, all the people that bought from you before, and do two things. One, ask them why, and then see if they need more service. See if their interest is still there. See if the product has expired. See if there's an update. See if there are new applications for the product or service that they have from you that they perhaps don't know about. New ways to use it, or better ways to use it, or a new version that, you know, interfaces better with other things that they might be doing. There's all kinds of reasons, but they've already crossed the threshold once of being your customer. All right, I'm going to take a look. Bob, you're here in the film strip. You're welcome to come in and make comments if you like. I'm going to take a look down the comments over here and see if we've got any questions to answer. Joy put in a comment about our gophers. We hired all kinds of professionals, and finally I got something on Amazon to do the trick. All right, so just some funnies in there. That's cool. All right, great. So let's go to number 3, which is the important, probably the heavy question. Is list building changing? And the answer is absolutely. List building is changing, and it is changing in 2 ways, 2 important ways. One, how we build the list is changing, and number 2, how we treat the list is changing. So how we build the list, we talked a little bit about. So the good news is the number of ways to reach people and invite them to your list is way bigger. So the number of ways through Facebook, through Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, AdWords, YouTube InStream, I'm sure the list is much, much longer, LinkedIn and so forth. There are many more ways to reach groups of people that might be targeted and good targets for your list, or to get them on your list. So that's the good news. There's more ways. Looking at Facebook groups, looking at LinkedIn groups, people are already self-selecting to belong to certain groups. So if you want to talk to pet owners, pet groups in Facebook, pet circles or communities in Google+. So you have a built-in mechanism to find groups of people that have self-selected that they have interest in this. That's a really good help for businesses in targeting. So the number of ways that we can find people has increased, the number of platforms, that's really nice. The number of ways people can self-select or pre-group for us is also vastly increased. So making sure you think about that when you're thinking about your exercises to build lists is really important. Some of the downsides is cost per click for ads and so forth has gone really high. And so advertising budgets are stretched. It costs a lot of money to pay for clicks. And so you have to be more strategic. And that's where that narrowing or self-selecting ahead of time is really valuable. So targeting groups that are likely to be interested is one strategy. 2, making sure your ads are really focused narrowly is another really important strategy. So I want to talk about that for a minute because there's a couple of ways to do that. One is the focusing tools that the medium has. Like I talked about, graph search on Facebook, and YouTube has some of those tools as well. Another really important strategy that's often overlooked is to be very strong in your ads about who you do and don't serve. Who don't you serve? Saying right up front, this is not for, and be specific. It used to be that when I would see a this is not for, it would only be something like, this is not for, people who are going to sit on the couch. Well, You know, everyone who has even a momentary desire to set a New Year's resolution or change their life is going to disqualify. I don't know. I'm not one that sits on the couch. And so that's not a very good disqualifier. One that would be more appropriate is, do you have a history of starting projects and not finish them? This is not for you, because this requires hard work, attendance at the webinars or the Hangouts, and it requires that you keep pretty good accountability on yourself. If you don't have a history of doing that, this is not a good fit. That's a lot more discouraging to those kind of tire kickers and others that are going to probably end up being returns anyway. What that does is it selects your client group down to a group that are much more likely to succeed, much more likely to give you testimonials, much more likely to demonstrate the success and viability of your product. And besides that, they're a lot more fun to work with. We've all had clients that were not fun to work with, complained a lot, didn't complete assignments, didn't really wanted everything to be done for them and then handed, and they wanted actually to effectively sit on the couch or the mental equivalent. And that process isn't very effective. So more venues, more narrow venues are the good things. Cost per click has gone up. That makes it more expensive. That's mitigated by the fact that your targeting is much narrower and more powerful, and so you can have it in front of less people. Your content of your ads and the content of what you do, especially if you're doing video, needs to be really clear, and spend at least as much time disqualifying people as you do qualifying them. My agenda has jumped away. As you do qualifying them, and the reason is because it'll save you a lot of headache later. It's not fun to work with clients who don't do the work, and then they don't produce any results, and of course they're a lot more work than those who do. So narrow your field. All right, that's the second way that it has changed significantly. And the third way I wanted to talk about it is customers are way more sophisticated. Okay, you and I both, we don't listen to much advertising anymore. We immediately stop paying attention. We tune out the TV during ads. We have banner blindness. We get frustrated if there's a YouTube ad in front of the video we're trying to watch, unless in that 5 seconds it says something or shows something that is for me. And then, I'll play for a sec. And so again, this has to do with targeting the ads narrowly. And this is a lot of work. So this is why most of the ad work online isn't very good. It is generic. We're trying to talk to too many people. We haven't really thought about what narrow and specific words or pictures would immediately grab that exact avatar's attention and perhaps repel everybody else. That is way more effective for you, both cost effective in terms of advertising and effective in terms of drawing your ideal prospect to you, than having a generic ad that might appeal to many. So I have one client who talked about a product that he has that serves a wide demographic. It serves younger people, young adults that are just starting their families, and it serves those getting ready to retire and every age in between. And so the concern, quite naturally, that someone would have is, well, if I be exclusive in my advertising, then I'm going to drive away potential customers. So here's what you have to decide. If the language, and this is what we ultimately concluded, the language that you would use to attract a 30-year-old client to that product is way different, because the needs and use of it are way different than an older client because of where they are in life. And so you would craft 2 ads anyway. You'd craft 2 messages and let them be narrowly targeted, even though they lead to the same product. That's okay. Craft them narrowly and craft them powerfully. And here's the reason. You have to get above the noise floor. You have to break through the mist. You have to break through the fog that is around us all the time, that we have because we're repelling advertising. All right, so that's the end of the prepared material that I had today. Let's review really quickly. You need a list. The way we make the lists are different. How we treat our list is different. People expect much more today than they have before. You see more and more free stuff. Information is basically free. What people pay for, shortcuts, hand-holding, and accountability. So provide any information you want to sell with one or more of those extras, and your sales and conversion will be a lot higher, because everybody wants speed. Everybody wants the problem they're looking to solved yesterday. And the faster you can do it, the more popular you become. The second thing, we talked about what the money in the list means, which means they're more likely to buy from you and buy repeatedly, assuming, of course, they're treated well and treated to a good experience with you. And the third one, the list building is very much changing. And what it means to your business is you have to pay attention to the language of the customer. You have to pay attention to where they are, how they want to be treated, and you need to target your marketing messages very narrowly. I apologize for that big hole. This is Kellen and Joy. My screen suddenly got a blue screen of death, so I was over there behind the green screen with the cute background, and we're done anyway. Sorry about the technical glitches today. It just exploded and went blue on me, and all of you know how that is. So we'll see you later, and thank you very much for attending today despite the glitches. Bye-bye.